Hey, Wes White, what's up, buddy?
Oh man, we are in a rack 'em and stack 'em line today, Randy.
We are we almost need to put our name on our own air control tower, don't you think? Traffic control.
Man, you are not kidding. I actually
Oh,
used a air traffic control tower for today.
I know. I've already seen that and shared it already. I get up. I apparently have no life early in the morning because it's too early to call customers, right? And so I set out with my coffee, and so I just sit there and stare at social media until I see your first post of the day.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
I know, or it's good stuff, or I'm just mentally deranged.
Yeah, easily entertained, right?
Easily entertained is absolutely the case. It doesn't take much, and I've had my fourth cup of coffee, so it's
The
all good.
lifeblood of a hybrid road warrior.
It is, buddy, and we are hybriding it today, and I think I thought I made a post this morning, but it didn't seem to go, so I got to go figure out if I hit delete instead of post. But I talked about with your post about racking and stacking today. We're doing 5 podcasts today, and I love to talk about hybriding, right? Because what's beautiful about today is we've got our great guest Hanna here in just a second or two, which people would really rather hear from her than us, I know. But be that as it may, in between, I've got a Zoom to do between this and the next one, 5, 6 customer calls to make, and my point of all that is I love this whole hybrid nature of what we do. It doesn't have to be just one thing or another thing. It's you can jump in and jump out almost instantaneous with the technologies that we have today, right?
Well, not only that, but we're not just jumping in and out. Today, we're jumping literally across the water to talk to Hanna, and it just goes to show you just how small the world is because it is in the afternoon for her in Zurich, and here we're hanging out in the States, and you just can't get any better than that.
You can't get any better than that, and that's a great segue because talking across the pond, a mutual friend of ours and a guy that's been a guest on our show, Simon White. I just chatted with him virtually just this morning. So it does open up the world. Really, the world is pretty small now. So
yeah, I literally just spoke with him last week. So
yeah,
we're in the same realm here.
It is. It's good stuff. So what do you think? Let's just talk to Hanna because she's in Zurich and it's like 3:00 and she's got busy stuff to do and her little one to go pick up in a while. And I mean, she should probably sitting back there taking a nap, going, "These guys going to shut up and like talk to me?" So why don't we do that?
Well, let's bring on Hanna.
Let's do it. There you are. Hanna, how are you?
Hi, Randy. How are you?
You know what? It could not be any better. Well, maybe if I was in Zurich because I've never been there, but
Exactly. And I will show you around. It's really, really nice.
Okay, so I got a tour guide.
Mm-hmm.
Is that an expense paid trip or do I have to get myself there?
What do you think?
Okay, I knew that answer before I asked it, but it's like trial attorneys and salespeople. You should never ask a question you don't know the answer to, right? But no, I would love to get over that way. My wife and I have talked before, Hanna, about those longboats or whatever they call them that do the river tours. Do they do those in Zurich too? I know they do them in England and
much. I mean, it's like Zurich. It's located like at a really nice lake, so there you can take you can do boat trips and go around. So that is more what you would be doing if you want to do something on the boat. The coolest thing is in the summertime you can pretty much swim everywhere. You can jump in the river, in the lake, and that is really something that people do. And it's like once a year there's an event where you swim across the lake. So that's 1.5 kilometers. I don't know, like around a mile. Big event, 2,000 people go. So those things are really, really fun here.
Wow. So swimming basically a mile. Would I, do they have a little canoe paddling that I could hold on to? Because I'm not.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
I'm not
yes,
sure I could
they
swim
do.
a mile. Yeah. I'll walk around the lake. Don't know if I could swim across it. Well, welcome, Han. It's great that you took some time out of your busy schedule to chat with us today. And really looking forward to, you and I've got to know each other a little bit over the past few weeks. And you bring some really fun, energetic stuff, air host stuff to the to what we all do, and so I want to chat about that a little bit. So, you're tell us about who is Hanna. I guess I know you're a certified coach and a management consultant and a podcaster and all those kind of great things. But tell us the real story of who is Hanna. And is it Herbst? Is that how I say that?
Well, in German, you say Herbst, and it actually means the season fall.
How
So
do you say it again?
now,
Herbst?
Herbst.
Okay.
That's what
Boy, I
how
got
you
that
would say
totally
it in German.
well. Okay, so obviously my German is I've got what do I have in German? Sauerkraut. Does that count?
Yeah, and your
Okay.
pronunciation for that is awesome.
Oh, look at that. See, that's the only word I got, so I got to get that one right. Well, so tell us who Hannah is.
Sure. You already captured my professional hats, but I guess it's more interesting if I tell you. I would
Yes.
describe myself as I'm really curious, and I like to learn more about people. That's why I also do the podcast to really get a sense on other people's stories. I'm creative. I love sports, and I like to socialize. So those are all things that really give me joy. And on my website, you will find a quote that I use. It's I like to make things happen with lots of energy, compassion, and a smile. And I think that describes me in a nutshell.
Perfect, perfect,
Yes.
and you certainly are because I know you were so engaging when you honored me to be on your podcast. What a couple weeks ago we did that, I think.
Yes, yes. I
But
haven't published it yet, but I edited it, and it's
well,
great.
you edit it down to like the only thing you could use, which was like 3 seconds, so it's probably not even worth doing. Maybe 5 or 6 seconds if we count the hello. So, but no, it was a good time. It was a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. So, you were born and raised in Zurich, Switzerland?
No. Actually, in Germany. So
Oh, you were born in
I was.
Germany. Okay.
Yes. And I lived in Germany till I was 22, 23 or something like that.
Okay.
And then I moved to the US. So I spent a couple of years there. And then I came back to Europe, and a little bit by coincidence, I ended up here in Switzerland.
Okay. So
Yes.
you're German by birth then.
Yes. And I
Okay.
have been living in Switzerland for so long that by now I also have the Swiss passport. So I'm a dual citizen.
Gotcha. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
So then you could like teach me about Frankfurt and stuff too if I needed to know. Perfect. You know it all. I love it. So that's one thing about Europeans in general that I always find, and we'll get to talk about other stuff, but there's so many of us in the States, and probably because it's such a big country and so many regions, right? Uh, we don't travel. I mean, some do, but as a general populace, I don't think we travel abroad like y'all do in Europe, right? And
Yeah, but it's like if you're based in Zurich, you can just hop on a train and then you will be in Germany within an hour. If I take the train in the other direction, I will be in Italy in about, I think, 2.5 hours. So it's really easy to get to. And when I first lived here, I was in Geneva. That was right at the border to France. So it's just by definition easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like going from state to state here, right?
Exactly.
Versus right. Yeah, awesome, good stuff. So what I'd really like, 2 or 3 things in general, because I know you're like I said, you do a lot of coaching, business consulting, management consulting, and of course you got your really cool podcast. Which let's get a lot of shout outs here on this. What's the name of your podcast again? Tell us all.
It's called Reaching Your Goals. And it's all about me interviewing experts like yourself to really get the insights that people need to get one step closer to living a fulfilled professional life. And so that is really the goal of my podcast, to learn what it takes to get closer to reaching one's goals.
Perfect. So then you take a lot of that information, obviously, because as a coach and management consultant, you take that information and it helps you work with your individual clients, right?
It's win-win.
It is a win-win. Oh, there you are. Look at up on screen. Wes is on his A game at 9:17 a.m. I mean, he just got out of bed like 12 minutes ago, but good job, Wes.
It's amazing.
I think he did.
And it's like I would not know how to do that. So, wow.
Well, why do you think I have Wes? I barely can get on and talk, let alone push all those buttons and pull all those levers. So yeah, Wes does a great job. So
exactly, that's why I also had you on the show, because we were talking about sales and how to develop sales mindset. We ended up talking quite a lot about social media. So really things that help individuals to, improve their own career and, getting those nuggets that can be really helpful. That's what it's all about.
Oh, they can. And, I've found that talking, networking with people. I'm a big networker. I love to network. But so many people, I think mistakenly, in my opinion, Hannah, is they network just within their industry. Now, that's very important from in my world of sales, that's important, to build business. But if you want to build business beyond just that small target, you don't learn as much. You learn industry stuff, but if you really want to learn, you need to step out of the industry and talk to people that have nothing to do with what you do, because they bring a whole different perspective, right? Than what you get pigeonholed. I think in all industries, there's a little box that you all live in, right? And you all tend to be a bit the same on a lot of things. We kind of all do the same stuff the same way to some degree. Where you get way out of that box, and I think we pick up and learn things, and you sit there having that aha moment, going, that could work in my world too. Why don't I be a little bit more like that? Does that make sense to you?
A lot. It's all about diversity, and diversity comes in very different colors. So part of diversity is also having people from different backgrounds, different industries, and to bring them on your team. And if you build a team and you have like only Harvard lawyers on that team, they will think in a very similar way. So then it's enough to have one or two, and that's it, and bring in different people. And I think that you see again and again. And the other benefit with the whole thing is, if somebody's thinking about changing their career, some people, and I would say it's also, from my experience, maybe more women tend to be a little bit insecure. It's like, oh, I cannot go in that industry because I haven't done that. There's something called transferable skills, and bringing this different perspective is so valuable, but is not yet in the mindset of everybody that is something positive.
Right. That makes sense. And I love you talk about reaching goals, because that's a big part of what you work on, is reaching goals. And this, so really, let's dive into that a little bit. I would love Hannah's view on when I say let's talk about reaching goals. What's that mean to you? What do we need to do in our work world, our personal world, our health and fitness world, spiritual world, whatever world we're talking about? What does it take to be an attainer of goals? Let's just call it.
The first step is always to look at our goals. What are they actually? And I always like to link them back to our why. Why do you want to become an entertainer? Why do you want to progress in your career? Like, what is really behind it? Because this why, this purpose is what will drive you on bad days. Because you need to have goals that make sense. If you have a goal that is something that really has meaning to you, because you want to inspire people to become better at sales and really help them to be more successful, then getting up every morning to achieve that goal will be easy or easier. So the first thing is to really understand what you want to achieve and understand why, and then ask a few times the why question to really get down is, what is it? And so that is link it back to your purpose to really understand why you want to do it. And then there's not, say, step 1, step 2, step 3. It all depends a lot on the personal situation, on how to go about it. But it's a lot about, say, discipline, effort. I mean, it's always hard work. Like, there is no shortcut to get to a goal. If it's 100 meters, you have to run 100 meters.
Yes, exactly. And it's interesting, because I read something a while back, and I should have wrote it down or saved it, and I probably did someplace, but Usain Bolt, probably the greatest sprinter, at least in modern times, right? Jamaica, yes, or wherever he's from. But the amount of seconds, literally, that he's ran in his career, of actual on the clock, if you will, versus the hours that he spent training and practicing. And so his goal obviously was to be the best in the world, right? To be the fastest in the world. But it's interesting and I think we can always bring in guys, especially, and I think a lot of women too, but I'm probably being a bit sexist when I say guys, and I don't mean to be, but we wrap everything into sports a lot, right? And I know you're an athlete and you're an avid sports person. So I think you have to understand that you're going to put 10 times, 10x, 100x, 1000x effort into the backroom stuff that nobody ever sees, yes, and the unfun stuff, right? I take it to football in high school. Y'all played every week for the Friday nights under the lights, right? The cheerleaders and the crowd cheering, and you make a big hit, and that's what you played for. But you practice hours and hours and hours, spring, the summer, running and getting in shape and all the stuff you hated to do, just for that 60 minutes, right, on Friday night. And I think that comes into play in the world of of
Yes.
reaching goals, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, here they come with the examples for soccer. Say that a Beckham has been like when he was growing up, he went to the park and was practicing like hitting a goal again and again and again while his friends were or peers were out and doing something else. So I think it comes back also to those theories about 1,000 hours. You need to really push and train for 1,000 hours in something to get good. Is it? So yes, and it's always hard work, consistency, getting up. And that's why you need to find something that you really feel intrinsically motivated, that even when it's raining, when you have a bad day, you still get up. And it needs to become a habit that you don't even question it. And there's certainly a lot you can do and work around once you really know what you want to achieve. But the first thing is make sure that the goal, the thing you are after, does make sense. Because what would suck that at some point you find out that you went down the wrong lane.
Right. So develop try to figure out that lane as quick as possible. Is what you're saying.
Yes.
Because
yes.
it
And
would be
even if you don't know today, try out different things. See
Right.
what really feels bad. Like I think you always have this saying, do what you love, right?
Mhm.
That's something that you always say in your show.
Yeah, do what you love and love what you do, right? Yes, exactly.
Exactly. And
Wow.
for that, and I remember you told me also that you went into purchasing, you didn't like it, you went back. And that's perfect. This is how you find out where your passion lies. Because if you enjoy your job, if you enjoy whatever it is that you're doing, football, soccer, whatever, you will be better. Because if you enjoy something and you have fun, you just perform better. That's why also when I work on as a project manager, I make sure that the people, that there's also sometimes a smile, because I know it's like if they like working with me and they think this is fun, they will just do a little bit more.
Then you just nailed it right there, Hannah, because there's two things. People say life is long and life is short, right? It's short if you're loving what you do, and man, it can be long if you're not loving what you do, right? Do you want to really get up every day? And Wes, I know, is a big believer in this too. Is, man, you gotta find what it is that you're passionate about, that you love to do, you want to do. Because I work a lot, but I really don't work at all. Oh, there's occasional times where you have. I like to say another thing, Hannah, because it's not all flowers and daffodils, right? I guess daffodil is a flower, but there's times where things just suck, right? But you can't take or let 20 minutes of suck become 20 hours of suck or 20 days of suck or worse yet, 20 years of suck, right? So we're always going to have those moments. But if you're passionate about it, really enjoy and love what you do, you know that's just part of the process, right? And you handle it the best you can, and you walk away and let it go, and you move on to loving what you do and doing what you love, right?
And I think the trick here is that you do every day, you do something that really has meaning to you. And if you really, if somebody is struggling getting there, you can, at the end of the day, if you sit down and you think about what were 2-3 things that I really enjoyed at work, you do that for a few weeks, and then you get an insight on things that drive you. And there are so many small tools that we also do in coaching, say as homework, where you can really learn more about yourself.
That makes sense. So being happy at anything, what I think I just took from that is being happy, finding joy out of anything takes a little effort too, right? It doesn't just you show up and it happens. There's a little effort put into that. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And there's one thing I picked up like a year or 2 years ago, and I really find it still so intriguing. You need to know something about a topic to become curious about it. So if I tell you, oh, be curious about Mozart, if you never heard of him, you're like, whatever.
Yeah.
But
who cares,
so
right?
you have to know a little to become curious, and that is effort.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that is also one learning I'm taking from all the podcast interviews. No shortcut. It's always hard work. Yep. But if it's good work, you do it with a smile.
Exactly. So something we hit on, and I love it, and you always do. That's one you're very engaging, and I'm sure your clients love working with you. Talk to me about discipline versus motivation, because I know there's two different things, right? And I guess my question is which is more important, I mean, you can be motivated but not disciplined, or you can be disciplined and not motivated. I suppose I think the two come together. But what comes first? Is it the chicken or the egg, right? Which comes first of that
I
in the
have
world
to
of Hanna?
think out loud about this one. I don't have an answer ready. Is discipline the one word that comes to mind? Is also habit and doing something continuously, say every day, every week, whatever the rhythm is, and really sticking to it. That is something I think to me is like the basis. Like you need to have that drive and that continuity to, otherwise you will not get to the 1,000 hours to become an expert in whatever your topic is. The motivation, I think, talks a lot about also the quality and how much effort you bring, because I can show up, and if I don't like it, I might not really put in everything I can put in there. So that's why I would go with you. It's intertwined. The one to me is the basis, and the other one really will define the quality in the long run.
And I think that's a good way to put it, because there's a lot of people that are motivated. I mean, it's like, you could easy to say, I'm motivated. I am fired up, motivated to be the best NBA basketball player to ever play the game. That's what I want to be. I'm motivated. But you don't do what Michael Jordan used to do, which is to kick the janitors out of the gym because he's going to stay there and shoot free throws to all hours of the night, even though he's already arguably the best in the world at the time, right? That's because you have to have that discipline built in. But I think you hit it well with the intertwine, because it's hard to be disciplined long term with something that you're not motivated to do, right? And vice versa. So I think it is. I always find that interesting. I like to ask people, because I always feel like I'm a pretty motivated person, but I have to build disciplines in, because I'll fall off the wagon as easy as anybody. As motivated as I appear to be and am, it's pretty easy to just, I'm not going to do that right now. But I got to do it right now. And the problem I find is that we become habitual, right? You talk about habits. I look at sometimes you got to be habitually habitual, right? You just got to. It's got to be what you do every day, every second, and just do it whether you like it or not. But I think that's interesting. So motivation, discipline, intertwined. Love what you do what you love, and all those things sort of.
And the other thing that came to mind, I feel like for the motivation, the best thing is if you are intrinsically motivated. That's why if you have a job, you get the money, and it's like you only do it because of the money, is extrinsically motivated. This is not really what will keep you going. But if it helps you because you will meet your customers and you really just enjoy it and you want to make their life better, there's something that's coming from your inside, or you want to be the best basketball player in the world, and damn it, you will not stop till you are there. That is what really makes it much easier. And that's why I think it's like what we just said before. It's like finding topics, finding areas where you feel passionate. And there's also this disclaimer, it doesn't need to be your job. And not everybody has the luxury to find that passion in their job. And maybe some people, they start coaching kids and then they feel so fulfilled because they have a job is fine, but the real passion is there. And that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. And again, it's like find something that really gives you meaning and that makes it worthwhile. And if you can put a smile in kids' face, maybe that is exactly what you need.
Right. And maybe that's what you're there for. That's the calling, if you will, right?
Yes.
Interesting thing you just said is the transaction. Transaction versus relationships. I mean, we talk about that in the term of sales all the time. We want business developed on relationships, because if they become transactional only, then it's only right now this time because of the price. That's really at the end of the day all it is. If the other things have to be in place, but you got to do business because of relationships, right? When in products, it got to be right, the service got to be right, and the price got to be right. But so many times as salespeople, we allow it to get into a transaction mode as opposed to a relationship mode. And I think we do that same thing with everything we do in life, right? If it becomes transactional, and I think you just hit on that, is if we go to the gym only because my doc just said I got to lose 40 pounds or you're going to have a heart attack, well, that's transactional. I'm just doing it because I was told I'm probably going to die if I don't do it. But if you develop a relationship with the gym, relationship with how
Yes.
you feel, the working out, all of a sudden it changes your whole mindset. Am I right?
Yes. And for example, I love running. So when I go running, it's like I run here, like at the Limmat. So that's the river I would show you if you were coming to Zurich. So it's really beautiful. So I run along the Limmat in one direction and then back. And it's time when I can, like, I think about things and I enjoy like the whole being like being in nature, and I like doing it. So I know if I don't go running, I have too much energy. It's like nobody wants that. So I need to get it out. But I like the process. I have to say, it's like I've done sports ever since I've been a little kid, so it's always been part of my life. But it's exactly what you're saying. It's like enjoy the whole thing, and you need to find what you enjoy about it. It's like, what is it? And that's why if running is not for you, maybe something else will be. Maybe it's a team sport, something individual. Like find something that really keeps you motivated. So motivation is so key there.
Yeah, that makes great sense. You know, and I'm a walker. I don't run. I like to walk. I walk a lot. As a matter of fact, I saw a meme about this once, but it's true. If you see me running, you need to run too, because there's something after me. I don't. I'm just telling you. I am not. I am never running just because of the joy of running. There's a problem. Walking, I could walk 10 miles and enjoy it all day long, and
yes.
it's a great time to think and do stuff you love, you know. But so we talked about building habits, and really we have to work it. So, you know, kind of swinging back a little segue to what we just talked about, but they don't just happen by themselves, right? So is there any keys from Hanna's world of, okay, I got this goal. I think this is what I want to do. I feel motivated. I want to do it, but I also know I've got to be disciplined, which to be disciplined is another way of saying I've got to build habits, right? Because I can't only do what I need to do because I wrote down this list of things I need to do. It has to become at some point a habit, right? That's just what I do. And how do you go about that? Do you let it happen naturally, or is there a system to help us become habitual about reaching
I
our
like the
goals?
one thing that you already mentioned is when I know what is my goal, like what are the tasks that get me there? Because I see that is, it might be obvious for the one side, but I know some people, they don't do it. It's like, what are really the steps I need to do? And that is sometimes the moment that people already feel overwhelmed. Then it's about looking at those steps. What is really important? What has an impact? So anything that doesn't have an impact, you don't need to do right away. So to really understand what are the key steps that will get you there. And I'm naturally a planner, so but this is still to get to a goal, you need to know what does it take. And then you can see what do you need to do when, how, so that you can really, if you're thinking project management, what follows after, like the sequential parts, how long can you estimate? So, and then you know exactly what are the key things I need to achieve this week to call it a good week. And one thing I find important, and I do that every day, in the morning I get up, say on Monday, I know exactly the things, or I think about the things I want to achieve during the week. But every morning I think about what are the 2-3 things I need to focus on today. And it takes me some time because it's not always obvious. And I'm not always in a mood for doing it. And I think this is the second thing you were saying, is like, how do you create that habit of doing it? And the one thing is, to me, it's just do it. Because I know this week, I need to say, send out a newsletter. So I might have to write something. If I don't write something, I cannot hit the send button later on. So I sit down and I start doing it. And it's not always fun, but I think this is, you can, so for me, it's like really have time to focus. And then I turn off my phone. I make sure I really have half an hour. And I tell myself, I only do it for 30 minutes and then I'm done. So if I really push, I can get it over with fast if it's something I do not enjoy very much.
Oh, that's interesting. Go ahead.
So I kind of like discipline myself in terms of like time. And really, I know what I need to achieve. And so per day, it's 2-3 things. It's not having like 10 other things. It's 2-3 main things. And that gives me comfort because I can work on those. I don't feel overwhelmed by it. And it's not always major things, but having time for that. So maybe something very concrete is when you have a busy schedule, have blockers in your time, like in your calendar, so that 1 hour in the afternoon is always blocked for those key activities, so that you don't get sidetracked in smaller things with no clear impact. So blocking time and then sitting down, turning off your social media, don't get distracted, work on it.
So,
and then if you can also be like, oh, I love chocolate. Afterwards, you get a piece of chocolate. I mean, you can also find something to be like, oh, if you do this, you get that. You can also, work with yourself a little bit and negotiate there.
I like it. Negotiate with yourself. I like that.
Yeah.
My treat might be, a glass with a stem with kind of red, and some people call it Cabernet. I call it Dr. Pepper, but that's.
I knew you would say it.
That's good stuff. To kind of finish up, because man, I know you got things going on, and got to pick up the little one in a while and all kinds of stuff. But you talked about right there with overwhelmed, and I think that's so important. If you set those guidelines of what you've got to do, because man, you hit overwhelm mode and it becomes miserable. Yes. I do that a lot in a much simpler fashion, but I was talking to some folks that are sales, but they travel 2 or 3 counties, right? They don't travel states, like I do. They go, if you're going to drive and it's like 8 hours, that'd drive me out of my mind. That's just so far. I said, I never drive 8 hours. I drive 3 hours to this place in my mind, and then I drive 2 to this spot in my mind. I break it down into these segments that I can tolerate in my own mind, because as much as I've traveled 4+ decades, I don't look forward to driving 8 hours. It's not, I can do it right now, but I don't enjoy that. I don't look forwards to that. So I break it down to not get overwhelmed in my own mind. That's just a small little thing, but I think we can break everything down as I segment it into 2 hours to this spot, 2 hours to this spot. Then all of a sudden you plus, I think with goal setting, it's like a mental to-do list, right? Because when I get the first 2 hours down, I only have 6 to go, another 2-hour segment, but also I get to do that ever popular feel-good thing, which is I do a mental checkoff. I just got rid of 2 hours, right? Accomplished, mission accomplished, right? And I think that's important. So as we kind of finish up, because again, you've been very kind with your time, kind of tell us in the in 30 seconds to a minute or whatever you need. Take 2 minutes. I don't care what you take. What do we, besides getting how to get a hold of you, which we'll do at the end, if somebody's going, I want to do this today, I want to get a fast start to this new goal. It's a goal. I've done the whys. I know why I want to do it. I think I want to do it. I want to be or do this, whatever this is. What's the first 2 or 3 things they should do right now, today, as soon as they're done listening to you?
I mean, the one thing that comes to mind, just do it. Yeah. It's really about getting started today. If you didn't start yesterday, you do it today. And there is the connotation of being in motion versus being in action. And if you're in motion, you're just thinking about it and you're like, oh, I have everything figured out. But what is the first thing you can do today? I cannot tell you what is the first thing you can do today. That depends on your goal. But there will be one thing you can do today. And for somebody who might have a problem on that side and not really getting started, why don't you get an accountability partner? Call up 2, 3 friends or send them a message and it's like, guys, I have this goal. By the end of this week, I will do this. If I don't do this, stop talking to me. Like really put pressure on yourself if it's hard for you to do this one first step. But it's important that you do it so that you go from being in motion to being in action. So accountability partner could be one thing. You can really also define, it's like, again, it's like if you think about the planning, if you already figured it out, you should probably know what is the first thing you need to do and focus on the things with impact and just do it. So I really like to quote Nike there.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a great Nike quote, but you're right. Just do it, because action, there's so many people have great plans, great goals, great ideas, but they become like a post I'd seen a while ago. As a matter of fact, I think I shared it back a while ago, and it was a great picture. We all know the statue, the thinker, right? Where he's sitting with his, with it
Yes.
thinking, and it shows the statue of the thinker, and then there's the little base of a statue with footprints going away, and that's called the doer, because while the guy's thinking, the doer is already on a mission. And some people say, well, yeah, but if you think longer about it, maybe that doer is going off and making mistakes. But aren't you still learning from those mistakes? And you're starting from a spot still ahead of where the thinker is, who's still perpetually thinking about it. And the doer may already have accomplished 12 things while the thinker's still sitting there thinking. Not saying you shouldn't think about it. I'm just saying, like you said, at some point, you just got to get up and just go do it. Whether it's running, if you know you got to run and you that's what you want to do, and you've never ran before, nobody says you got to run 12 miles like Hanna would run.
I just want to say that, I mean, it's like with the running, you will not be able to do a marathon in 2-3 months' time. But if you start small, you can work your way up. And maybe you start with walking, a little bit running, you change it. But it's all about doing something. And then when you look in the mirror, who is the person you want to be? And I'm sure everybody will be like, okay, I want to be the person of action, that I can also give myself a how you say, it's like a clap on the shoulder and be proud of myself. And just do it. And if it doesn't work out, learning, failing is learning, as you say. And I also liked how you plan your travel trips. I know that, like, also the picture is like when you go up a mountain, it's like you stand there and it's like 2,000 meters high. It's like, you're like, holy moly, I'm never, ever going to be able to do that. But if you're just trying to go to the next shed and then from there to the next one, suddenly it's smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And
exactly. Nobody ever climbed Mount Everest in one trip, right? There's base camps, right? You got to build some base camps. And
I think we are all scared before we start something new. It's like, it's very natural. And the moment change is coming our way, it's like the voices of insecurity become the loudest. It's for anybody and everybody. For some, it's just louder than for others. And if that is somebody's problem, they can always go and work with a coach on that. But that insecurity is there. But the only way to get over it, do it. The confidence comes by doing it. And have some trust that it will be fine. And for anybody listening, do it today. And then you take Randy and me.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Love it. Love it. Hanna, brilliant stuff, as I expected. So thank you very much. I know you need to go get some work done. So and I need more coffee. So
yeah, Dr. Pepper, I got it.
yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I know you have a long day with plenty of interviews. I'm sure it's coffee.
Yeah, it is coffee until this afternoon, and then it might be a Dr. Pepper. But anyway, Hanna, thank you. I appreciate it. This was very good stuff, and we've been streaming across the bottom how they can get a hold of you. Folks, follow Hanna. You're gonna love her energy. If you haven't already, you will. She's energetic and brings some really good stuff to the table. So make sure to follow Hanna. Reach out. I assume you do coaching and consulting and that kind of stuff, obviously virtually. So, I mean, you don't have to be in the greater Zurich area to work with you.
No. And as for the coaching, I focus on career and leadership and business topics. So say if you think about changing your job, or you're not happy with your job, or you're the first time in a leadership position and you need somebody to really have to bounce back ideas and get more clarity on who you want to be like as a leader, how you want to manage difficult situations. So those are all situations when you should pretty much call me up.
Yep. I think they should call him. The two things that we've learned out of all this: just do it and call Hanna.
Yes.
That's it. There's nothing else you need to remember out of this. If you remember nothing, those two things. And I
love it.
Well, okay, there's three things. If Randy's running, there's a bear behind him. So there's three things. But that one, the likelihood of that is okay. If you're hungry, you're hungry. I mean, it's been a good run. I'm not going to outrun a bear. So anyway, what else? That's it. Let's get out of here. What do you think?
Yes.
I think
Yes.
it's been awesome. I appreciate you
Thank
coming
you so
on, my
much for
friend.
having me here. So this was
Well,
wonderful. Thank you,
of
Randy.
course, of course, and I would be negligent if I didn't give a shout out to my brother, pal, and buddy Sean Litvak. I think Sean is
Yes.
who introduced you and I, and
Yes.
which is, I know I said I was done, but that is one of the beautiful things about networking, right? Is
Yes.
Sean and I, along with Wes, met each other, and there's his book he just put out, Proverbs for Leadership. Good job. Look at Wes. He's just like that. He's not drinking Dr. Pepper, I can tell. But Sean, Wes, and I met in a mastermind group from totally different venues, different genres, different everything, and become buds and pals and buddies. And yep, there we are. There's Sean right there on the far
Yes.
left. There's 5 of us Megaminders. We started a mastermind group, Hannah, called Megamind. Eric Bam actually put it together, started a good friend of ours as well. And but my point of all that is we all helped ourselves be accountable, like you talked about during the COVID lockdown when nobody could go anywhere. What are we going to do? Things are changing. And that's a whole nother story for another day. But bottom line is we were incredibly beneficial to each other and still remain friends today and still meet up and chat and do things, share things, support each other. But my point of all that with networking is the chances of Hannah and Randy meeting each other were probably pretty slim if it hadn't have been for Sean, right? I
Yes.
saw you and Sean
And I
together.
already had Sean on my show. So for anybody who's curious about Sean,
Yep.
there's one episode on your show and on Reaching Your Goals as well.
Exactly. He was on your show. I watched that show, which was very good with you and Sean. I said something to Sean about great show, and he goes, "You need to meet Hannah." So I mean, that's my only point is the world is about that
Small
big now,
world.
right? It's
Yes.
very
Yes.
easy to meet great people. So speaking
Yes.
of that, go finish your work, enjoy a big
Thank
day.
you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you being on.
Bye,
Cheers,
Randy.
my friend.
Bye, Wes.
Bye bye. Thank you. Was that fun or what? Was that fun or what? Right there. Big thing. Just do it. Set your goals, set your disciplines, be motivated, decide your whys. Think about transactions versus relationships. That's important. And as Hannah so elegantly brought up, one of the statements I like to make, and one of them I'll end with right now, is love what you do and do what you love, because it's a short go around that we have. So you got to live it, love it, and own it. And while you're at it, why don't you go make today your best day ever? Till tomorrow. Cheers, my friends.